What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? It's your girl Court with the Pro Bitch Podcast. I am here with my compadres, Mimi and Izzy. What's up, ladies?
What's up?
Yeah. So how is everybody?
Fucking awesome.
Fucking awesome. I love it. I love to hear it. How you doing, Izzy, over there?
Okay.
I'm loving like the nail color and like the like glow that you're giving me and like the blonde hair and like I don't know, I feel like
my hair's
like
darker. It's dark. It's a lot darker.
It is a lot darker. I noticed that, but like the part that's not, with the dark, you giving me like radiance.
So I was actually late for two reasons, because I was doing the house shit, but then like my hair is falling out because I went super blonde, right? But I went to go get a ponytail, and I was actually gonna do like a long, big like braid ponytail, shock you hoes, because I know that's something that I don't do.
No, yeah,
but I didn't have time, so it was like makeup or hair, and so I just chose
my girl. She
and I think this is the first time I'm wearing makeup on here.
No, for real. And that's what I told her. I was like, you have like all this radiance and like her nails pink and shit. Like, yes. I feel like all this feminine, like.
Trying to be cute. I have a man now. So.
Oh, I love it. Yes.
She's like, I can't look homeless anymore.
Even though like I've been looking ratchet as hell.
Hey, for real.
And he still be like, you're so beautiful, babe. I'm like, okay.
Nigga be like, quit lying, bitch, because I look a mess. I mean, thank you, but I'm saying no. But that's like my boyfriend. He surprised me. My boo. Appreciate you, babe. That was the best. I guess he was tired of me bitching about not saying him. But anyways, so he came up and he surprised me, right? Mm-hmm. Y'all, the first thing I thought was like, oh my God, my head is a fucking mess. A mess. Like, what's going on? But my boo, he don't even be judging. He don't care. He probably laugh at me like behind my back, but no, he be telling me like your shit is a mess. Like what you got going on?
I know I look a mess anytime he's like, so when you gonna get your hair done?
Like that's the subtle way, and like you can't even be mad at them because that was like highly appropriate. Because like I know I look a mess, so like it probably took him a couple of days to say it. So I've been looking a mess for a week.
Or maybe he got like a finger caught in there somewhere, and he's probably.
Oh, he dead ass be like,
Oh man! All right, so what's up, ladies? What we talking about today?
Speaking of
niggas, but we gonna talk about this fuck nigga because I cannot stand him.
I don't know. So we are gonna talk about your boy and kind of like the ideology that is kind of being circulated, I guess, in respect to your boy.
Don't nobody want to say his name,
right? But yeah, like. So you guys know, like, there's a image consultant out there that's kind of, and I guess like a dating consultant, or is
a quasi image consultant.
So like, like there's been, and I don't think just with him, I just think that there's this whole push around like being a high value man or woman, and attracting high value men or women, things like that. So we kind of just wanted to touch on it a little bit. I mean, for those of, I know we have to have our educational moment. So some of you might ask, what is a high value woman? Right? Like, so I guess we should define that maybe. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, like there are certain characteristics that they assign to high value women. They're healthy and take care of their physical appearance. So you're not like overweight or like, like you're in shape. They're majority like resting in their feminine energy, right?
Oh, say it again. They was doing what?
Resting in their feminine energy.
Take notes, guys. Rest in your feminine energy.
Like it's like they know their worth, like they know their high value, so they kind of like act accordingly, like educated, and not necessarily like, I got a PhD, I got a master's, but like just well versed, I guess you could say, and like
worldly.
And just has like a certain air of like self-respect, and like they're kind and compassionate, like
I was about to say this feels like a fucking 50s housewife to me.
Okay, yeah,
basically, right?
Okay. Well, I don't know. I'm not.
I mean, I feel like there's some validity to it.
No, it is.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah. It is. And then like with the high value man, he's high earning, right? So. He makes 6 figures, right? So
at a minimum,
like
at a minimum
7?
At a minimum, he makes 6 figures. He's a planner. He follows through. He's kind of like what you would call like an alpha male. Like, so he's resting in his masculine energy, right? Like he provides, he leads.
Big dick energy.
Yeah. You guys know big dick energy, yeah. But like he's well spoken as well, right? So he's a great conversationalist, dresses well, well groomed.
Converse with him.
Right. You know, communicates well. Like, you know, like you can put him in a room with anybody and he can just hold his own and carry himself, right?
For sure.
But I think that, would you guys say that like the biggest thing that people focus on when they think about high value men is the high earning? Like, I mean, I feel like that's and the provider trait, like that whole being able to lead and provide.
Are we saying his name?
Oh, you can.
Okay. So like, yeah, with Kevin Samuels, I feel like I feel like his focus is on men being a provider, and
because he want to be provided for by one.
Damn!
I'm sorry.
I mean,
I'm just saying.
But yeah, no, I definitely think that he does. And like, I think for, you know, the women from his perspective, like you said, like his number one thing is like your body.
Yeah.
And your face.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like what you look like, which I understand because men are very physical creatures. Like they are going to talk to you on what they see first.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So I get that, but I feel like there's like a really high focus on it. Anyway.
It's almost like misleading, right? It feeds into this narrative of like, not all things about women are beautiful. Like, you know what I mean? Like you have to look a certain kind of way. It almost plays into like the whole like body positivity, like all of that type of shit too.
It's
in
like
our
the
community.
antithesis to body positivity.
Yeah, it's like absolutely like it plays into like this crazy role with the lack of self-esteem that we experience because of social media. Like, I mean, I even look at shit like me included sometimes. You ever look at like certain things, you just be like, damn, like, okay, I find myself like gawking at some of the I'm rock solid. Like, but it's just not realistic, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like it just feeds into this narrative where, like, mind you, like, you're not insecure about yourself, but you just start to look like, damn, this is kind of what I want to look like instead of like doing what's best for what might be you, right?
Yeah. So
just like feeds into like a really fucked up.
Right. I do think it takes that the one characteristic where you're healthy and you take care of your physical appearance. It takes that and kind of distorts it and makes it into this like, this is all that it is,
yes,
right?
Thank you.
We know that your physical appearance is important, right? Because like it shows what discipline, it shows a certain level of, some people equate it to self-love, you know what I mean? Because the whole idea is like, if you can be disciplined or control what you put in your face, right? Like then you can have like control over or you can have discipline to do whatever it is that you need to do. It's like the ultimate form of discipline, people believe.
I agree.
Like, and like, you know, if you're take care of your body, you know, then, you know, you'll take care of, I don't know, maybe your partner, or you'll take care of your children. Like, so like, I feel like there's some validity in that. I wholeheartedly do believe that there's some validity in that, but I do think that it ends up getting a lot more weight than all the other aspects or characteristics of a high value woman.
Absolutely.
So like, what do you guys like, if there was a criteria for attracting a high value man, what would you say that criteria was? Like, are there certain characteristics that you think a high value, like if you want a high value man, do you think there are certain things that you should have or possess as a? Yeah,
so I'm going off the dome because
this is like your opinion.
Yeah, like I'm going off the dome. I did have some thoughts written down, but I left them at home. Y'all, pardon me. You know, I smoke a little weed. Anyways,
but he had to cater to Bay.
Bay came and shit. He threw me off guard, you know. But anyways, no, I think one of them that's obviously is for me bigger than the financial, bigger than, because if you clear this shit out of the way, then we're okay to move forward. It's like I need you to be like emotionally grounded, like with what you have going, right? Whether that's addressed any traumas, actively addressing, realizing that there is that type of like connection. To me, I feel like that speaks volumes about a man and who he is and who he will be to you, because he's actually putting something other than finances first about himself, right? Right. So one thing. The other thing is too, yes, I do look for somebody who can match my swag. I'm not talking about I need you to be this super millionaire, this, that, and the third. Like, of course. Does everybody want that on either side? Like, well, hell yeah, right? Like, let's not even play ourselves with that. But, like, I want you to just be able to sustain and to be able to come into my fold and none of the shit changes for me or you, right? If anything, we kind of, like, really merge that and grow something bigger. So your finances, yes, I need your finances and stuff to be in order. And I think, like, for me, another thing for sure is, I mean, I do want you to look good. Like, I want you to look good to me, right? But my thing is because I have taken an active interest in my health and wellness and well-being and stuff, I at least want you to be, I'm not saying I want you to be ripped up, abbed up, anything. I just want us to be, like, aware together of where we stand in, like, our health and wellness and, like, being able to, like, do those things together, because I don't want to bury my husband. And, with black men, like, I don't want to bury my husband at 58, 60, 65 because of, health conditions and things that we could have, like, looked at younger, right? And, like, really took an active interest in now. And it's never too late to get yourself in a good space for something like that, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, if I'm a limited at 3. Like, if I was to limit it at those 3, it would be really, like, being emotionally grounded, being able to, like, I'll just say match my fly, because I want you to be able to financially be able to provide for us, right? But understand that you're not, like, obligated to do that alone. I don't know what I'm saying with that. Have some money. Like, get your shit together. Have your financial situation together. And then really kind of be an advocate for your body as your temple type of thought process.
So, sorry. So the question was, what does it take? What do we consider a high value man, or was it a woman?
Well,
was it? Or what did you say, partner?
Well, no, I was saying, like, if you wanted a high value man, like, what do you think you need to have?
I didn't answer that correctly. But
it's okay, because I heard what she said, and I just wasn't sure, like, if I
think I worded it funky, maybe.
No, but that's a good point, though. But I see what I got you. So I'm gonna go ahead and answer, Izzy.
I just as you were talking, I was like, wait.
You're right.
No. I wasn't you, because I thought that I heard what you heard. But anyway, sorry. Okay, so what does it take for what does a high value man want in a woman, right?
Yeah, like what makes you eligible for a high value man? Like, if
me
we
personally, take this or a woman generalization. Sorry,
let's generalize.
Okay, so I think a high value man would want a woman who is presentable to his network and his circle.
Absolutely.
So that's like whether it's physical, like having a brain about you and not being like very one-dimensional. So being multi-dimensional, like being able to go and talk to people, have a conversation, being worldly, just having knowledge about politics and what's going on in the world, or, having a passion or something like that, like an interest that you can like speak intelligently about. Having feminine energy, and I think also catering to that person to a certain extent, like having, like we were talking about on the last episode, like having someone that can like stroke your ego. I think that's what a high value man really wants.
That's real. I mean,
would you add anything or take anything away from that? Or
no, I definitely wouldn't take anything away. I think in terms of what a man would want, I think the first thing is like presentable, right? Like they don't want someone that, they've heard stories about, or like they feel like they can't take around these different circles, right? Versatile. I know some men want you, when you say worldly too, like they do want you to have a little edge to you too, right? And it's sad because like women are expected to play all these roles. Like as I'm thinking about what Izzy's saying, right? Like what would they want? They want a lot of roles that I feel like we have to kind of morph into and play. But no, I don't think I would take anything away from it at all. What do you think, Mira?
I definitely wouldn't take anything away. I do think like that part about, I don't know if it's necessarily stroking the ego. I guess you could call it stroking the ego, but like I do think that that's kind of important, because like we like it when a guy gasses us, right?
Yes.
Like when you tell me I'm pretty, when you tell me,
And gassing your nigga will make him move like certain mountains that like he might have just been like kicking at before, right? Just like scooping at it one at a time, right? Yeah.
Like, I think it kind of goes back to love languages a little bit. Like I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of high value men had that words of affirmation as a love language. You know what I mean? Like just being able to kind of speak life, I guess, into that person. But not only that, I think, how can I say it? I think that we as women, like in our professional life, right, like we kind of have to tap into our masculine energy.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, because we're go-getters, right? But like sometimes I think that we have to gravitate more toward the feminine energy a little bit. Like, and when we talk about masculine, feminine energy, like we all have, I guess, I don't know if we need to, if we need to educate people on what that is. But like, if you look at yourself as like a spectrum, like we all have that masculine, feminine side, like everybody, man, woman, whatever, you have it. So it's kind of like, you know, you can have a guy that, I mean, like, there are women that are more so in their masculine energy, but you probably pair better with a guy that's more so in his feminine energy. But you have to ask yourself, like, will he still hold those characteristics of being a provider and leading your home if that's what you want, right? So, like, I feel like, yeah, like, I feel like the whole feminine energy thing is kind of a big deal, just, like, kind of trusting that your partner lead.
Yeah.
I know we don't really care for the word submit, but, you know, just kind of, like, allowing. So, like, one of the big things about feminine energy is being able to receive.
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
you so, like, your energy is a little more laid back. Like, you let your partner more so give, or you like, you're able to follow sometimes.
Absolutely.
And letting your partner lead sometimes. So I do think that that's a big thing, and it is a lot to like juggle, right? Because you do have to have a little oomph in you.
You do
have to
have
be
this
worldly and have, you know, and kind of be a challenge in a way, right? But at the same time, allowing your partner, I guess, like to lead when necessary.
Yes, I think that's actually a big thing. Like, because I look at my, you know, I always look at it like God, man, children, right? I've always looked at it that way. Whatever, like, however, you know, whatever your faith is, right? You have that first. Callie is upset, y'all. Brief intermission. So Callie is our guest host,
out there
guys.
walking their dog.
Probably.
Right here. And look at that middle one.
So Callie hasn't been in the studio with us in a while, guys. And we've missed her so much. But Callie don't be for no shit. So whenever she be seeing things that like stroke her little fancy, she gonna let us know. And we appreciate her. She is the best guard doggy. She is. Because she don't be with the shit at all. But no, I think that, like, actually, what were we even talking about at this point? I don't even remember.
Like, what did we think, like, what makes a woman eligible, or what would you need to attract a high-value man, essentially? Yeah.
Yeah, so. I feel like I was going somewhere with it. It's okay. I can't remember. I feel like I'll circle back around.
So like, there's this whole idea, right, that because like I feel like there are like competing like opinions out there, right? So like you hear some people say you need to be what you want to attract, right? Like, so if you want a high earning man, you need to be a high earner. If you want an educated man, you got to be educated. But then you have this other end of the spectrum where it's kind of like, I feel like with this high value woman and man thing, it's almost like they're complementing each other, right?
Yeah,
like
I agree.
It's like my yin to my yang thing almost. Like, if you really look into like what's the masculine energy and what's the feminine energy, it's really complementing each other. So like, I guess, do you think there's a right and a wrong in either one of those philosophies? One says you got to have everything you want your partner to have. The other one is you just need to complement. Like, if you want a high value man, you got resting feminine energy. This one says, if you want to go-getter, you got to be a go-getter.
Like, I think there's like a balance.
I was going to say, I think there's a balance.
So I think that, like,
that's a good point.
If you are looking for a high value man or whatever, right? Like, they're going to want somebody like we just talked about that's, you know, confident, you know, stuff like that. So I think whatever you need to do to be secure in yourself to attract the type of, like, you know, partner you want, I think you need to do that. Absolutely. So if you feel like your finances are a mess, you know what I'm saying? And like, one of the things that high value, according to him, like, high value men don't care about your finances, right? Or how much money you make, because they can take care of you and they can provide for you. But like, if that makes you insecure, like then, your finances, then that's I feel like that's going to radiate through.
Exactly.
Even if he is providing for you, or, you know, even if like you do meet a guy that takes care of you, like if you're insecure about that thing, maybe he can help you fix that. But like, you still need to have that and like be secure in that in yourself. You know what I mean? So like, or if it's your body, like, or whatever it is, like if you're insecure about that, then you need to fix that yourself. So I think that like figuring out what's gonna make you confident and secure to attract that type of person, I think is the most important thing. So whether it's resting, some women rest really well in their feminine energy. So like I personally don't.
Yeah, I'm with you.
You know what I'm saying? So I think just like finding that thing,
like I'm be
and understanding.
You can't tell me what to do.
No. And understanding, you know what I'm saying, like what your goal is, because
I agree with that 100%. And I think that for him to say
him downstairs.
But literally, but like for him to say men, high earning men don't care how much a woman makes, I don't feel like that's accurate. I feel like that's almost manipulative, because the next thing, like that will be your way of, you're going to provide for her and stuff, but that's maybe I don't be resting in my feminine energy, because I feel like that provides you leverage. That provides you with this whole provider mindset, that because you're providing and because without you, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing and I'm doing all this. Like it sets this tone to where I feel like women fall into this trap, and they feel like really they don't want to let this lifestyle go, but they really don't have no means of coming in and saving their own space. So they stay in this space. Like, I don't care. I've not heard one high earning man be like, I don't care how much money you make. I've not heard that ever. I feel like they want somebody to kind of like equally yoke with them, like match their, you know what I'm saying? Because otherwise, like you the broke bitch if they get mad. And otherwise you the this, that, like you understand, to me it's a leverage. And maybe that's just, I don't be rested in my feminine energy. But I think above all things is that you need to do what's going to make you, like, fuck doing what you need to do to attract a partner. And I think that's where we be fucking up. Attract yourself. Like, what do you feel? Because once you are whole, those things will come to you, right? And it might not be the perfect guy every time. Every guy you meet, you're not meant to, like, marry or whatever, right? But I feel like being able to be like, I want my credit together because I want my credit together, not to attract a man that has his credit together.
Exactly. That's my point.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that, like, that's why he really, like, him be like upsetting me with some of the things that he be saying, because I feel like if you're going to speak life into somebody, like speak life into them about themselves. Like, let's talk about us, because you wouldn't be calling me asking me questions if you weren't insecure about how you are, like, yourself, right? So, like, ladies, all I'm saying, or men, all I'm saying is like, be whole with you first, and I'm telling you, all those other things will come to you when you exude a different energy of being whole, right? You're going to attract whole people. Half-assed people ain't going to step to you if they feel that whole energy that you have. It's just kind of like, you know, so just always be okay in the fact that, like, you might not be attracting what you want right now because you aren't where you need to be, right? The goal isn't to get there to attract this person. The goal is to get there so that, like, whether or not that person comes along or not, like, you are a complete individual. Right? So I just be thinking like that. I think that's what kind of like be upset me the most about like that whole conversation and like that whole kind of topic, is that I think that we forget the person who really matters, like us. Right? And
but I think like his point though is that a lot of times like women get self-absorbed in that respect.
Mm-hmm.
Like that,
like it's not a qualifying, how much you make is not a qualifier in whether I'm going to choose you. That's how I look at it when it says how much you earn doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. I just don't think it's a qualifier for somebody that's a high earning man that's going to provide anyway.
Oh no.
Now, if you have a passion and you have a business, you know what I mean, that works for you, because it's like, you know, like you got a little ambition about you. You know, you're about something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that feeds into that worldliness. But I don't think it's so when I look at it, it's like it's not a qualifier. Like, oh, you don't make as much as I make, nah, I'm good. I don't think that's it's that. But I get about like it's this kind of like responsibility that you have for yourself. Like, you know, like you're not coming in with a whole lot of burdens to lay at this man's feet. Yeah, is what I mean.
There
but like
when
we do get like, well, I make pop, you know what I mean? And it's like, but
so,
he don't care.
Right.
Like if you like,
yeah, because he'll fuck the bitch down the street that work at Hooters or like that work at the Taco Bell. So it don't matter. Like, right?
Give
it
her
don't
some
matter.
of your money.
Period.
Exactly.
Out of y'all's joint account.
Like, wait a minute, you make 6 figures too? Oh, okay, so we can go 50-50 on these bills, and you gonna take care of the bitch that work at Taco Bell.
But see, that be the thing, because just because I got it and it's in the account, woo. See, that's a whole nother conversation.
But this, what I'm saying is, you know, like,
no, I got you.
There are more important things to somebody that wants to provide than
which
what
I feel
you're
like
bringing.
y'all said, it's heavy on the looks for them. Though.
So what do you think about those two ends of the spectrum?
So like, I do think it meets somewhere in the middle, right? Like when outside of the superficial stuff, like I don't feel like I need to make as much as my partner. I don't think like, if my partner has businesses, I need to have them, or things like, or if my partner has a PhD, I need to have a PhD. I don't feel like that. But when it comes to me as an individual, like who I am mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, I do believe that I have to have what I want to attract in that respect. If
That I agree with, yeah.
like I agree with you when you say being a whole person, right? Because like if a whole person kind of, and we've seen it over and over again, right? Like where we have this complete person and this person that's full of voids, what ends up happening, the complete person ends up pouring into this big black hole that's in this incomplete person.
And then they become incomplete to an extent.
Right.
Yeah.
So this incomplete person becomes a burden.
Yeah.
So when we talk about like your mental stability, your emotional health, like your sense of self-worth and things like that, I do think that you need to have those things together if you want to attract that and feel secure.
Yes.
Like, I mean, like, granted, you can, like, I mean, because broken people attract healed and whole people all the time. But what ends up happening? They end up being insecure. They end up resenting the whole person because, like you together and I'm not together. So, like, I'm just saying, like, for it to be a healthy relationship, I do think on a deeper level, you need to meet your partner at the table as a whole person. But superficially, like, what do I have? No, I don't think it needs to be like, oh, how you want this person to own a house and you don't own a house.
Like,
no,
what? No.
I don't necessarily feel like,
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Like, if you want somebody pushing a Bentley, you need to be no, I don't feel like that's the case.
That's the point.
Then what the fuck I need him for? Exactly.
I don't need it.
Exactly.
So I don't know. So that's my thoughts. I always just try to look at it from like masculine, feminine energy and kind of like, complementing each other and not necessarily competing.
That's compliment, not compete. I feel like that's such a good way of putting it, because it might be a situation where the woman is the breadwinner and things like that. But as women, we also still have to know if that man is still holding up his end of the deal and things like that. Because if he's not, then you shouldn't be there in the first place, right? But if he, if he is and all that, you still got to let that man be a man in that situation. You know what I mean? So I guess, that's what I was thinking we was talking about before I got thrown off. It's like, I really do genuinely believe that, like, I could definitely be, I don't want to say the word submissive or like to my partner, but like something that I definitely look for in them is like being able that I trust them to like take the reins with shit. Like, I don't want to always have to, I'm very dominant in my work life. I'm very dominant in my overall. So like when it comes down to certain stuff with my nigga, I want him to be able to like handle, like I don't always have to be looking over his shoulder for him to do that regardless of how much he make or whatever the case may be, right? Like, can he handle his handle? That's always something that's like really important.
That's what that sugar daddy told me.
So like I always have this when it comes to this, like, because you with you saying like you want to be able to like relinquish some level of control. So like, do you think that sometimes if we are more, I guess more so the alpha, do you think that how do I say this? Do you think that prevents our like a partner from stepping up to the plate? Mm-hmm. Or do you think like if he wanted to step up to the plate, he would, regardless of who you are?
Alpha men don't look for beta bitches. So I personally, I think that...
Well, I want to say alpha beta. I'll say more so. If you're more on the masculine side of the spectrum, do you think that prevents this guy from stepping up?
I think it allows a space for them to get comfortable. And yes, I do. I think it allows a space for them to... not step up. I think they can get comfortable. They don't have as much responsibility as they would normally have. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, and I've seen it. Like, I've seen that play out, right? Where you're like, oh, well, I mean, I ain't know. Same with the woman, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? It was a weird situation. But yes, I do think that people in that situation, when you're used to somebody else taking the reins or this other alpha person, that you get lax in doing it because you just have the expectation that, like, so-and-so will do it. Or like your other person, they'll do it.
And I don't even know if it's necessarily like for like a female alpha perspective. I think it's more or less of like for like women Black women in particular, like we are used to being like the providers. We are used to being the ones that are taking care of the household. We're used to being like superwoman, doing everything for everybody. You know what I'm saying? So you do start to wear like a hat, you know what I'm saying, where you're on top of shit all the time. Yep. Like you're dictating, you're like, you need to do this, you need to do that, blah blah blah. So like I think it just becomes a habit. And then like, you know, if you aren't dealing with a man that, you know, has the ability to like, you know, step in and exude his masculine energy on you, or like, you know, take, you know, some responsibility away from you or whatever, then yeah, that nigga's gonna sit back and be like, oh, you got it. I ain't gotta do shit. Let me be a stay-at-home daddy.
Or just like, you know, my girl got it. Like some dudes like that shit. Like they like, my girl, she a boss, she got it, this, that, and the third. And then it's like, but like, so where the fuck do you play in that role, right? Like, I don't know. I've just totally seen that play out, and it was not healthy at all.
Like, so with the whole, so I do think that Kevin Samuels is abrasive and he's rude as fuck, right?
He don't be wrong sometimes,
but he's not like there are often times that I understand what he's saying and I get it, and I don't disagree, right? I think that like for some people it just really rubs you the wrong way because he's just so like blunt and just rude as fuck. But like I do get it, you know what I mean? And it's funny because I've had some experiences with people that listen to Kevin. And I've drawn the conclusion that the people that I've run into that listen to him, Kevin not for them.
No, he not. He ain't talking to them.
Y'all not in the right tax bracket.
Can we talk about it?
For him to be... No, he wasn't talking to you, bruh.
Because do you consider yourself a high earner?
Like you are at least $50,000 to $60,000 to $70,000 off the mark for you to want to implement anything that he has said to anybody.
So what? Okay, so what did this person say?
I was like, context, please.
So
like, we need the full story.
Okay,
you don't have to say how much they made, but we need the story.
So how much does Kevin say the average black man makes?
I don't know.
I think it was like 50.
I think he said like 50, something like that.
Right. So this
for real?
Yeah. It's a horrible world out this bitch.
Well, no wonder.
Yeah, I mean, no, but seriously, like it. No, and it, look, it's defeating. It's sad.
So the whole idea is that high earning men, they have pick of the litter. So like, if you try and get chose, bitch, you gotta step up. Like you can't be slacking because these high earning men now, they can have whoever.
I mean that's
the idea.
That's the idea.
Which, I mean, I get it.
I get it, and I do. It is fair. I just be wondering where the fuck he got his image consulting. Like who gave him that? Because his background is not in that. So that's all. I'll just be trying to like get his credentials. Like he needs to be an opinion, not.
So this guy said that he wanted someone that like he liked good girls, so feminine women, like But he also added that like he was a little rough around the edges, so I'll say it how he said it. I want somebody, that's going to cook, that's going to clean, that's going to do my laundry. And if I say, hey, get it, they get it. That's like, that's why I like my good girls. I was like, oh.
So you want a slave?
So he was like, well, you cook?
Who the fuck?
What?
I can. I was like, do you? Yes. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'll burn a little bit. Like, what you like to make? I was like, I mainly make Caribbean food. What if your nigga don't like Caribbean food? Then that nigga can make something else. What you mean?
Right, I don't understand.
But the whole time in my head, I'm thinking, because he had passively mentioned, how he makes $26 an hour. And I think we had came up when we did the calculations before taxes, that's $54,000 a year.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to know, if how you supporting us on $54,000 a year?
Yeah, I mean, and it's not even being funny. Because
if I'm cooking, if I'm cleaning, if I'm doing your laundry, and when you say get it, I go get. I don't got time for a full-time job.
For
real. I don't got time to be working.
Say that.
And you want children? Where we living at? I need to know where, cause I need to know somebody bring like average rent for like a 2-bedroom apartment,
Shit.
cause you want kids, so at least a 2-bedroom.
I mean, it depends on where you at, but I know in Virginia,
You're not paying anything less than $1,300 here for something with enough decent space that's 2-bedroom, unless you're in like 800 square feet.
2-bedroom down there is like $1,900 to $2,000 at minimum, and that's like low key hood prices.
Yeah, I was about to be like, and that's not even the where
So how
I'm
much
talking.
is that a year?
Well, say $2,000 for the DC area for like a hood joint. That's $24,000 a year. That's half your
almost-
salary.
That's half your salary,
before taxes. Your before tax salary. That's
So
And I hope you got some insurance coming out that check.
Because I mean, if I got babies, I mean, I need some insurance to be having these babies. And where we about to eat at for $54,000 a year?
Well, what's the poverty level for a family of 4?
Let's Google.
Yes.
I think it's like 47.
So like while you're looking that up, so my whole point was, you got all this energy for this submissive, resting in my feminine energy woman, but you don't have the end to support such a thing. You get what I'm saying? So I just feel like sometimes, you know, the people that try to implement the teachings of our dear Kevin Samuels.
26,500. That's the 2021 poverty guidelines for the 48 states and the District of Columbia.
For 4 people?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
So no wonder you feel like you made it. But I'm just saying, you get what I'm saying? Like, so like, I feel like while we as women, like some women will focus on like, how do I attract this high value man? Like, I think like, you know, some men need to take a look like, well, how do I get this high value woman that I want?
Like, seriously.
He had that one caller, that one video that went viral where the dude was talking about, you know, like, I'm not getting any bitches, you know, not giving him no play. And he was like, well, how much money do you make? And he said he bring home $800 a month or a week.
It was like $400 every two
every
weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah, so it was $800 a month. He bring home $800 a month. He lived with his mama or some shit like that.
And wasn't a big trash.
She said, and he was overweight. And then he was like, well, do you have a big dick or not?
And he was like, I mean, I don't know.
He was like, nigga, you know if you got a big dick.
I know, but that shit was funny because when I saw it, I was like, so no. Because a big dick nigga would have been like, well, hell yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, so but I think that, like, you know, on his show in particular, so he needs to have more examples of that.
Well,
yes.
so I also think, like, you know, people, I guess is what what social media shows you too.
Yeah,
like,
what goes viral.
You know what I mean? So I think that's what he's become known for. But I really just need some people to take heed to, you know, the fact that if you're not high earning, then some of these things that you're asking for, you have to ask yourself, is it realistic?
Right.
I mean, you know, like and then we had the conversation about kids, right? So one of Kevin Samuels' philosophies is that if you have children, as a woman with children, your value depreciates because your womb has been used.
Well, no high value man really wants a woman that already has kids because the kids are the priority and then blah blah blah. And
but I mean, that's how I feel about niggas with kids. Like,
Well,
if that could be vice versa.
So this is my thing, right? I see nothing wrong with having a preference of having someone without kids
Yeah.
if you don't have children.
Yeah,
right?
no, I get that.
I mean,
Yeah.
because it is a lot of it's a responsibility. If you about to play stepmommy or stepdaddy, that's a whole lot, and you kind of don't know what you're walking into, right? So I completely get it. And then also, I mean, there's a difference between having one, right, and then having like 4.
Yeah.
And there's a difference
that's the
between
thing.
having one daddy and having 4 daddies.
Yeah.
Because, you know, because then it kind of goes into a couple things of questioning your discernment and things like that. So, I mean, I get it. I guess, like, for me, my issue is, like, I wouldn't say, oh, because this guy has 4 children, he's worth less. He's just not my preference. But I think what he's saying is that, like, men rape women.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when you have children, your value depreciates. It sounds like a fucking car, but this is essentially. So, like, you know, we kind of had that conversation. And so he was like, well, I mean, like, he believes it. And the guy, he doesn't have children. But in my head, I'm like, well, how the fuck you affording children?
I just feel like nothing that if I could bring life into this world, nothing about that depreciates anything. That's
well, so like when you look at it from a perspective of someone that doesn't have children,
well, I mean, that's
do
even
do I want to take on someone that already has baggage?
So his point was like, okay, so if you don't have kids and you're just a single woman without kids, I can take you and I out to dinner, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you are a single woman with one kid, now I got to take 3 of us out to dinner. If you're a single woman with 2 kids, now I got to take 4 of us out to dinner. Which to me, if you're a high-earning man, shouldn't really be a problem.
That's why I'm like, but the responsibility, I guess, of it.
Exactly.
And okay, so I guess coming from someone who's always like, I don't think I've ever been in a space where I've dated a man outside of my college relationship that didn't have children.
Mm-hmm.
I feel as though like I was like, okay, I even give my situation like right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like my boyfriend has children, right? He has kids, and I feel like I'm the moment that I feel like I have to compete with the time and stuff with his children, then we need to have a conversation, and maybe this isn't the best thing for us. But I feel like if you have somebody that has, especially if we're older now, you're not going to find it's very rare that you're finding any man or woman in their 30s that don't have kids. Like, me and Izzy might be the rare exception. Like, seriously, right? So, honestly, I would think by the time that you are this age, your kids are a little bit older to where you have a little bit more freedom to date this individual without them being, like, a thing, right? Like, I don't feel like, I guess for me, the kids was never really, like, a thing as long as we were able to like have that balance of being able to like give me what I need in the relationship too, as somebody who doesn't have kids or kids in that space, right? Hence the reason why my boo surprised me this weekend. But anyways, I'm just saying, like, for real, because those were conversations that we have, right? Like,
I think
how do we have to balance that? And as long as you're both working toward like that balance with that situation, as we get older, we can't expect people not to have kids, right?
I mean,
so it's a little weird.
Definitely a contradiction in his theory, because like most high value men, or I would say high earning men, you're not gonna find high earning men in their 20s or 30s unless they're unless they are like some internet shit and they started a company and they blew
early
up.
or they inherited some money or
but
like
something.
something.
The average working person,
like 40
or even for regular entrepreneurs, like you're gonna have a couple of situations fail. You're gonna have some dips, some highs and some lows.
Exactly.
So for you to actually get to that high earning position, you're gonna be in your 30s. And it is the older we get, the more likely people are to have kids that have failed marriages or failed relationships or situations that, resulted in children. I mean, personally, I don't date men that have kids. And that's been a thing for me. I've only dated 2 men, including my current situation, that have kids. And his son is 21.
Yeah.
Like he's a grown-ass man who just had a kid. You know what I'm saying? So... and I dated one guy before that had a kid, and his kid was small. His kid was like 2 or 3 when we started dating, and he had him every weekend. It was a long distance situation, and he had to bring his kid every time I saw him. We never had alone time. And like you said, like for me, I never felt like I was competing with his kid, but one of the reasons I never dated men with kids was because I didn't want to
do that.
I didn't want to be second to like my husband.
Absolutely.
Now when we have our own kids, then I expect you to be, you know what I'm saying, the kids come first situation. And your kid is always going to come first no matter what.
Right. So right.
You know what I'm saying?
Sis. So like now it's like, okay, if that's the case, like I might have to, because the kid's not going anywhere, right?
Right, but that's his point is that like, men, high value men don't want to deal with that shit. Like they have the same.
And then you have to think about also if the father is in the child's life too, because that's along some of those lines. That's one of the questions that he asks as well. Because if I'm a high value man and high earning, and I'm not concerned about what you make, and you have children, and if the kid's father is not in their life, I'm taking on you and the already made children.
Right, but I feel like that shit before you get into the situation with these people, though.
This is true. So this is what I'm saying. Like, so I do look at it as a preference, and everybody has a right to make that preference. Yeah. So, I mean, now, I don't think that, again, I'm not saying that I would subtract value from anyone because they have children, but I get 100% the preference. Because, like, even for me, someone having a child, I don't want to date anyone that has more than 2.
Now, that, chillo. Now,
And
I do have a limit,
you know,
on the
because
children.
and honestly,
That's the thing,
if I
yes.
were to get married again, I'm okay with having a blended family. But I need to know things like, do you have more than two? How is the co-parenting relationship?
I
Because I
agree.
need to know all of that before I walk into this.
I agree.
And you know, like, are you actually taking care of your children? Or are you about to get hit in the head with some back child support?
No, I mean,
You know what I'm saying?
seriously,
So
I agree with
I feel like
you.
it's the same questions, you know. Like, but I guess it's. I mean, you know.
I mean, and
So-
just like you said, like with the preference, like, and he does like kind of say that to people on the show. Like, he's like, you know, this is what they prefer. He was like, you just came on this show and told me what you want. You want these things in a man, but then when I tell you men want these things in a woman, then I'm wrong.
But like who I don't feel like that who made him the spokesperson of all high earning men though. Like, so that's where I look at it, because I don't necessarily think that all high earning men don't. If you are at least 35, it is rare as fuck unless you are dating a 22,
But that's what I was about to
25-year-old
say.
woman
That's
that
what
doesn't
might
have
be.
children. And that might be. So coming from somebody who is dating a guy who has a 3-year-old and a 12-year-old, right? There is times where I do, like, you know, we have had a conversation about him trying to juggle all of that. He works a lot. He's a father first. He has all these things he does, but what I will say is that he makes an active effort to like really show that he's trying to make time for
But
me
he
without the
also
space.
has the support of the mothers. He's not a single dad.
Right. He's not a single He's not a single dad, right? You know, and that's actually very accurate and very true. And those co-parenting relationships, they work. It's not a volatile situation. Now, what I will say is that if that were not the case, me and him would not be together. So I completely understand what you're saying about like not dating men that don't have kids, because I was kind of in that space after I had dated these men with kids, right? So when I saw that, like, you know, I looked at the guy that I'm with now. At first, I ain't gonna lie, at first it was kind of like, damn, I don't want to do this again, right? But when I actually before we actually started to date and be exclusively dating, those were things that I found out, like, how is that relationship? How does that, and that's a constantly evolving thing. So it is work, right? It is work, but I just don't feel, I guess, like, while I don't think either one of us feel this big rush to like blend that thing, right? Like, I think me and him, because it's long distance, we still are really like enjoying the us part of it, right? So I don't know. I mean,
And
I guess
you could be
you just have to make an active effort to show that person that I think you're willing to really balance that.
And there are exceptions to the rule. That doesn't mean that no high value man ever seriously dates or marries a woman that already has a child. Just like it's not to say that there's never been a high earning man that's ever dated a woman that's overweight. But we're looking at like on average.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm a high value, high earning man, do I want someone that has children? And I don't have them.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. Am I willing to go younger because maybe I do want
Exactly.
children? Yes, I will.
Yeah. I mean, and it's like that's why you tend to find, like, if they don't already have kids, they've never been married, that's why they tend to date younger women. And it's not just because they want, you know what I'm saying, some little young fun thing.
No, it is. And she just
It's all of it. Their bodies are probably going to be together.
Yeah.
They look younger. They're not going to have kids. They're moldable. They're not set in their ways. You know what I'm saying? Their life is still
my point.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Their life is
Yeah,
still in
like-
flux, but you know what I'm saying. But that just like reiterates all the shit that we talked about in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just feel like he just the spokesperson of all. Like, I don't feel like every single man feels that way. So for him to put that narrative out there,
he admits that there
like-
are exceptions, but when he's talking about the majority or that average,
But like, how does he know that? Did he poll the majority of high-earning black
There's
men
a lot
to
of
say
men
that?
out there that think about that, because the way that I found him was on the Roommates podcast.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
And like, if you watch their podcast, they didn't even like. They've been podcasting for a couple of years now, and they've had everyone from they've had like Stephen Speaks. I think that's how they went viral. And like, they talk about that shit, and like them motherfuckers ain't like.
But like, are they in like happy, healthy like relationships, or like they got some fuck shit going on too? Because I feel like that, like the preaching of the whole like conversation to me needs to come from somebody who's either like been through it and is now like on the other side of it and like having all these conversations. Like I feel like if you don't have like healthy, happy shit, like you can't tell me shit about it if you ain't been there.
Yeah, for sure. Like then he's been married 3 times, like Kevin Samuels has. So according to the internet,
and the internet. But anyways, I feel like this is just a really good conversation. There's so many like different perspectives to like this whole like thought process of dating and stuff. Like it is, and I feel like each situation is unique. Yeah. Right? Because I ain't gonna lie, I didn't think I would be dating a guy that had a 3-year-old. I'm gonna be all the way G with that. I did not.
I honestly think at the end of the day, whether it's you want a high value woman or you want a high value man, you just have to ask yourself, what do you need to do or possess in order to align yourself with the person that you want?
Yes,
you can use the philosophy of, you know, I need to have these characteristics to attract this type of person, or I need to be on the same level. Use whatever philosophy it is that you want to use. But just know what it is that you want, set that intention, and you know what I mean, and make sure that you align with it. Because, you know, like the universe doesn't deny us anything. It's just a question of, are we on the level to accept what it is that we actually want? Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, because that man or that woman that you want could be here and we could be here.
And then
so what do you have to do to get here to actually go, you know, I guess, travel the same path as what you want in a sense. But like, if you're out here doing all this research and you're listening to Kevin and you agree or you disagree, or you're listening to, I guess, anybody else, I think a good thing is like, you know, make sure you're a whole person. You know, make sure
you are a high earner.
Right. And like, you know, these expectations, just make sure you're ready to receive whatever it is that you're asking for. That's and whoever it is that you're listening to. Like, I feel like we can laugh if we ask, well, according to Kevin Samuels, I'm not a high value woman because I'm fat and I got a kid.
Period. Like that's what he said. Like that's what he said basically, right?
Me either.
But I mean, that doesn't do anything to my self-worth because I know I'm fucking amazing. So like, it's just a sense of like, you know, like you can't let these things really get you down, and just make sure that you're aligning with what it is that you want.
Exactly. And to like piggyback off the alignment part of it, like guys, like everybody talks about the Sierra Russell thing, right? Like, oh my God, I prayed for Russell. Let's be clear. If you read the girl's like comments and things that she said, she didn't pray for Russell. She prayed for herself. She prayed to get alignment with herself, to figure out like what her path was, where God wanted her to be, and to bring somebody into her life that matched her journey. Keep that first. That's all I'm gonna say. She got her Russell because she was whole in herself first, and then she attracted another whole human being, right? Just always keep that first. Don't be like, don't do it for the men. Do it for you. Do it for you. And then the men will come. Trust me, in droves, baby. In droves. They will come.
Anything, Izzy?
No.
Well, you guys know where to find us. Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube. If you want to see our pretty little faces.
Because, you know.
We are a little gorgeous, though.
A little bit. Just a little bit.
I mean, Izzy beat the fuck out her face today.
Does it look okay?
It looks really good. Like she has like a glow.
She got some glow. Like a natural glow going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like it.
So, I haven't had any dick recently, so I don't know what that glow's coming from. It's just a highlighter. But I'm not gonna gripe today.
We shall talk about this off camera.
We'll see you guys next week.
Bye guys.